The Miis are kind of an interesting choice for a main in Smash Bros. Usually, players are drawn to their character of choice for love of the home franchise, or because they look cool, or because they can do this. But with Miis, there isn't any of that. No hiding behind fanaticism, these are the last characters to look cool. No, it's just you in the moveset. Well, either that or you were disappointed by the roster's lack of Sal Volcano from Impractical Jokers, but that might just be on my setup. Regardless, the Miis are the only fighters in Ultimate that need to be created before they can be played. Before even getting to players are required to pick an archetype, outfit, and most importantly, 4 custom special moves. Somewhat unsurprisingly, that whole process doesn't gel too smoothly with competitive play. And with how uncommon Miis are in competition, they're probably the biggest knowledge check in the game, not only in the character matchup, but in the rule set as well. That's not to say that every Mii player on the planet is a cold, calculated sadist, but given how few people are aware of the rules surrounding them, there's a bit of a moral panic around these guys in competitive play, and I get it. So, I figured I, the world's most honest Mii brawler player, would create the definitive guide to keeping Mii players in check. The Mii Rando Rights. FTP's Declassified Mii Survival Guide. Maybe I shouldn't be too surprised, but most regions don't have very elaborate Mii rules. So for this video, I won't be reading from any one rule set. Instead, I'll be bundling all the major rulings I've seen on Miis together into one super rule set for this video. I figure the easiest place to start is at the beginning of the set. Mii fighters must use their default costumes, though players may select any color for said costume, and must use a guest Mii. So, right off the bat, being limited to only 6 Miis seems kind of extreme. Bad day for all the Sal fans, I know that much. But this is really important. Miis aren't just an avatar, they're a canvas. So for the purposes of competing, it's important to standardize their look to keep Mii mains from making it look all funny and distracting the opponent from playing the game. As for costumes, there are a fair amount of Mii outfits and hats that mess with how big the character looks without changing the actual size of the hitbox, which can be a bit annoying to deal with. Look at this. Bomberman's antenna is permanently sticking out of his shield, even when it's not at its maximum size. That being said, most Mii mains are customizing their character in good faith, so these rules are often grounds for a gentleman's agreement among competitors, where they mutually agree to ignore the rulebook and let the Mii player go wild. At the end of the day, if you're worried about a Mii player getting a little too quirky, you can enforce this rule and make them play something less distracting. Oh, and as a personal aside, I do think some hats are okay for competitive play and should be allowed. Feel free to pause and read this tier list if you want my full opinion on all of them. Okay, moving on. Mii fighters should be named after the combination of special moves chosen, listed in the format XXXX for neutral, side, up, down. This rule is to make it easier to identify what moves a Mii fighter has. These numbers correspond to the numbers at the side of the move names, going top down. So if a sword fighter were running these moves, they would have this name. Mii names are restricted to 10 characters, so it's not possible to just list all of them out by name instead. This is a problem I don't think we'd have if the development team had a bit more foresight. At least in 2 or 4 player matches, it wouldn't be that clunky to add a UI element that shows the Mii moveset. Or hell, even just let people change the moveset on fighter select. This sucks especially bad on quick play, where, because Mii fighter names don't show up, the opponent will have no idea what specials they're up against until they see them. So if you say, win online with a strong kill move and refuse to use it until the last seconds of the game, there'd be no way for your opponent to know what you were up to. Seriously, Nintendo, please get rid of this guessing game. It is not fun to deal with. Any movesets that any player may want to use during a set must be created before the set begins, and revealed to the opponent, up to a limit of 3 Mii fighters. This rule is to save time moving between menus. Seriously, even at my fastest on the Switch 2, which has shorter loading times, backing out from fighter select to make a new Mii fighter takes at least 40 seconds. And I've been doing this for 6 years. So I'd say it's reasonable that tournament organizers want to limit the amount of times that happens. And as for the 3 Mii limit, I have to imagine that part of the rule set was born out of a situation where someone just kept making Miis forever to ice out their opponent. Considering that infinite character creation is a tactic that no other character gets, it makes sense to ban it. While we're on the topic of making Miis, I want to pitch my own rule. I think that Mii fighters of different movesets should have some sort of differentiating visual factor, like hats, different colors, or different guest Miis. This is more of a courtesy to the opponent than anything else. It can be hard for competitors who don't play Miis to remember that 1-2-3-2 means burning dropkick while 1-3-3-2 means suplex, but it's a lot easier to remember that red means burning dropkick and orange means suplex. I've actually built a color code based on the moveset of the Mii fighter that I've been using since 2019. Here it is. Okay, this might be a bit overkill, but at the very least, I think anyone running multiple movesets should at least give them different color outfits to more easily tell them apart. That's everything to do with Mii creation. Oh my god, we haven't even started the set yet. Okay, this rule is a big one. Switching moves is treated the same as switching characters. This rule doesn't make much sense on its own, but it has a profound impact on stage striking. Stage striking refers to a process that's unique to competitive Smash tournaments. Before the first game of a tournament set starts, both players need to agree on the first stage to go to. They can either gentleman to one of the stages, usually Pokemon Stadium 2, or take turns striking stages from the lineup until they're left with one stage. After the end of any game, the winner of said game is allowed to strike a stage or two, and the loser is allowed to pick any of the remaining stages. That's it. There are some extra rules that vary from tournament to tournament, but the idea is that whoever lost the last game gets an advantage by picking the next stage, and the winner still gets a little bit of a say in it. However, since the introduction of some characters, rule sets have added an extra step. Characters must be decided and declared for the next game before stage striking. This is to keep players from hijacking the loser's stage choice by surprising them with a character that absolutely dominates on that stage, and completely invalidating the point of going to that stage in the first place by having an advantage they're not supposed to have.
Oh, that's done, that is done.
You already know what it is.
We get the
That
dragon
is
upper.
your life.
You can see where I'm going with this, right? A brawler player running thrust uppercut, an up special that prioritizes killing off the top, could be taken to Town and City, a stage with a high ceiling, but close side blast zones. But you know what would thrive on a stage like that? Helicopter Kick. An up special that's really, really good at killing off the side. And since these are both technically the same character, there's nothing stopping you from picking different moves after the stage is picked. This sounds like a broken hypothetical, but it's not a hypothetical. I used to do this. It was 2019, okay? We didn't have the rule yet. There's a whole grand final set between B and JoJo where every game he won, he had to ban Town to avoid Helicopter Kick, and Yoshi's Story to avoid Thrupper, a stage which enabled vertical bullshit on every character, but especially on Brawler. There's a reason most events have removed it from their stage lists by now.
Whatever at 70 when you're lower is usually fine.
There's no way. Oh my god.
What the f?
By classifying different loadouts as different characters, the playing field is kept fair between Miis and everybody else. Now, this doesn't mean that Mii players don't change their loadouts mid-set anymore. I still do it all the time, and it's gotten me some wins I otherwise wouldn't get. What it does mean, though, is that Mii players aren't allowed to use them as a loophole to get more options than their opponent, which is aided by the next rule. Mii players must clarify or explain movesets to opponents upon request. What's determined as clarify is vague, but if a Japanese player can break the language barrier by acting out a sword fighter moveset to his English-speaking opponent, then Gunner players have no excuse for not telling their opponent what flavor of kitchen sink they'll be throwing at them. A lot of people have come to me explaining how some interesting Mii mains have tried to get away with only saying the numbers when asked what moveset they use. And when asked what moves those numbers correspond to, shoot back with an, "Oh, that's your job to know. I'm not gonna reveal my moves to you." Like, buddy, they play Incineroar. Do you expect them to be able to read a 4-digit number? Players are quite literally entitled to this information. If you need the surprise that bad, then good luck for the second time that you have to play the same guy. I do need to stress that the vast majority of Mii players aren't trying to abuse their opponent's lack of rule set knowledge. We're normal, I swear. If stuff like this does happen, it's more likely a case of ignorance than of malice. But with that being said, man, people do not like having to fight these guys. And the few Mii players who do exploit this stuff aren't helping. Easily, the most interesting part about Miis is their modularity. By changing only one or two moves, it's possible to almost completely change how the character plays. A feature in games I've gravitated towards my entire life. So when players complain about Miis for things that the rule set should be preventing, I feel as if they're missing the entire point as to why these fighters are interesting in the first place. Just like how, when I'm told stories of Mii players hiding their movesets, I feel like they're missing the point just as much. I hope that a video like this can help to get everyone on the same page. Miis are meant to be an expression of what a player values in a moveset, and that's kind of beautiful, no? Except for gunner mains. Are you seriously telling me that your expression looks like this? I'm putting in all this work to make Miis look good and you're deciding to play like this? Give me a fucking break, man. Are you kidding me?